Senator Sanders, in your first 2-minute opening remark, we wondered if you would share your vision on how you plan to co-govern with people's organizations like Iowa CCI and People's Action when you are elected president.
Well, thank you. That is an enormously important question, and you know what? I'm almost never asked that question. And the answer is, the message of our campaign is, as some of you may know, it's us, not me. And that is not just a bumper sticker, although it's a pretty good bumper sticker. It's what I believe. And the reason for that is I will tell you what no other presidential candidate will tell you. And that is no one, not Bernie Sanders or anybody else, can do it alone. And I'll tell you why. And you don't see this in the corporate media. You're not going to hear it on radio. You're not going to hear about it in Congress. And the reason for that is that the power elite in this country, and I'm talking about Wall Street and the insurance industry and the drug companies, I'm talking about the fossil fuel industry, the prison industrial complex, the military industrial complex. These guys have enormous power. And no president goes in and say, hey, Wall Street, be nice guys, do the right thing. Hey, fossil fuel industry, stop producing the carbon that's destroying the planet. That ain't the way it works. The only way that real change has ever taken place and will ever take place is when millions of people stand up and demand justice.
That's right.
And that is what this campaign is about. I cannot do it alone. I cannot do it alone. We've got to do it together.
Right now, I'd like to introduce Catherine Levin and Iowa State Senator Eric Giddens, and they want to ask you about climate change and the new Green Deal.
My name is Catherine Lewin. I was born and raised here in Des Moines, Iowa, and I'm an organizer with the Sunrise Movement. And when I was 17, an IPCC report came out that said we have until 2030 to stop the permanent impacts of climate change. But this didn't sink in with me until a month ago, during an action when an Iowa Democratic Party official told a group of 6- and 7-year-olds that if they want action on climate, they need to vote. And I realized these young girls will only be old enough to vote in 2030, the exact deadline of stopping permanent climate catastrophe. And these little girls had signs that said, I like clean water and I like windmills. And these solutions that seem so clear in the eyes of 6- and 7-year-olds only become complicated with the influence of profits in our politics. Because we know that if we want to stop climate change, we need a Green New Deal. But it's corporations like Iowa's largest for-profit monopoly energy utility company, Mid-American Energy, that makes these solutions seem so impossible. They spend millions of dollars fighting against real climate solutions. Mid-American and other for-profit energy utility companies have proven we cannot trust them to put people and the planet before their profits. We need democratically controlled and publicly owned renewable energy for the Green New Deal to work.
Thank you, Catherine. I'm State Senator Eric Giddens from Cedar Falls, Iowa, and I'm a proud Iowa CCI Action member. I also work at the University of Northern Iowa on community-scale climate action planning. Senator Sanders, I've seen Iowa's investor-owned utilities lobby for policies that put profits before people and planet. You've called for the democratization of all utilities with 100% renewable energy from public utilities like our municipal utility in Cedar Falls. What is your plan to transition the investor-owned utilities to public ownership with democratic control?
Okay. Let me just say this. I am very proud I truly am, to have introduced a proposal consistent, the only presidential candidate to have introduced a proposal consistent with the IPCC, which transforms our energy system away from fossil fuel to energy efficiency and sustainable energy as quickly as humanly possible. Our proposal, it's not a legislation, is consistent with the Green New Deal. And it is the most comprehensive proposal ever brought forth by any candidate running for federal office to combat climate change. So, in order to do this, I have been criticized, some of you may have heard this, it's a $16 trillion proposal. And folks say that's a lot of money. Well, you know what, it is a lot of money. But I don't know what the alternative is when we're fighting for the future of the planet. So we are going to stand up to the fossil fuel industry and say exactly what you said. We're going to end all of their subsidies, we're going to end all of their tax breaks, and we are going to tell them loudly and clearly that their short-term profits are not more important than the future of this planet. Our Green New Deal proposal creates up to 20 million good-paying union jobs. Because we're going to undertake a massive effort at retrofitting all of the buildings in this country, moving to the electrification of our transportation system, and investing heavily in sustainable energies. Now, what do we do in this bill? We understand you can't go to corporate America and say, do the right thing. So what we do is greatly expand what the TVA and other public energy producers are doing and create a massive effort to produce wind. And congratulations to Iowa, you're doing great. We got to do better together. We got to produce sustainable energies like wind, solar, geothermal, and other technologies. And we put tens and hundreds of billions of dollars into the production of that sustainable energy.
Thank you. And we have a quick follow-up question.
Senator Sanders, how will your plan include Black, Brown, and Native people who have been traditionally excluded from the system?
I'll tell you how. We put tens of billions of dollars into the understanding that it is poor people, Black people, brown people, who are almost always most impacted by climate change and environmental degradation. So we put a substantial sum of money to invest in those communities, to protect those communities. Anybody saw what happened in Bahamas recently? You saw the poor people's homes destroyed. Rich people, not so much. We are aware of that. And I just read the bill, read the proposal. Tens and tens of billions of dollars specifically designed to help those most vulnerable communities in America.
Thank you so much. And now we have with us Clarissa Gonzalez and Naomi Runder, who want to ask about free college for all.
My name is Clarissa Gonzalez, and I'm a proud Latina. And I'm here today because free college for all isn't just a class issue, but a racial justice issue as well. At Iowa State University, for the past 15 years, the minority population has only risen 6%. Meanwhile, tuition has risen over 64%. And I had felt this deep isolation by being a queer brown student on a campus in Iowa. My first year at college, I had no brown friends, and I didn't know the toll it had on me until I went home and heard Spanish for the first time in 3 months. I felt tears roll down my cheeks because my guard was down, because I had felt safe, and I didn't have to hide my accent nor who I truly was. That same year, I fell into a deep depression because I had felt so isolated. 210 days I felt like that. Alone, no one to talk to. So I stand here today because I want to change the way we think about college and make this a national movement. And when I say free college for all, I mean all students. I mean black and brown students. I mean queer students, and I mean undocumented students, so no one ever has to feel unsafe on a campus again.
My name is Naomi Runder, and I'm the lead of Chicago Student Action. I really appreciate you being a voice for free college for all. I spent 2017 in South Africa with the Fees Must Fall movement, and I learned what it takes to win that fight. It takes a radical youth movement committed to direct action, and it takes centering the leadership and experience of black and brown students. How will you strengthen and support a powerful youth movement of black and brown students?
Well, let me answer in a couple of respects. First of all, some of you may remember, I came to Iowa 4 years ago. And I want to thank many of you for the support you gave me 4 years ago. And I came to Iowa, and I had a very radical idea. I said that maybe, just maybe, we rethink public education in America and make public colleges and universities tuition-free. And 4 years ago, that was perceived to be a very radical idea. You know what's happened over the last 4 years? In California, in New Mexico, in New York, in Tennessee, in states and communities all over this country. It ain't such a radical idea anymore. So I want to thank Iowa for supporting that concept. And by the way, we're also going to end all student debt in this country. So when I talk about making public colleges and universities tuition-free, an idea that I introduced 4 years ago, of course it applies to all Americans, and most importantly, the people who benefit the most are the lowest income people, who are most often black and Latino. Right now, we have a situation where if you're a young African-American student, 12 years after you leave school, you will have as much debt as you did the day you took out that loan. That is insane. And we got people all over this country who are paying off their debt for decades. I met a guy recently who said that he's worried that his Social Security payment is going to be garnished because of student debt. So what we need, and your point is quite right, I agree with it, like everything else, like taking on the fossil fuel industry, or the insurance companies, or the drug companies, or the military-industrial complex, we need a mass movement. And when millions of people, not just young people, their parents and their grandparents, stand up and say what I believe to be true, that education is a human right, that college should be available to all people regardless of their income. That is how we win that struggle.
Thank you. Thank you. Let's have a follow-up question.
I also want to ask how, even now during the election cycle, you can use your platform as a leading candidate for president to support a powerful student movement.
Well, we do. We work right now. Look, let me say this. Thank you for this question. The future of America, in fact, given climate change, the future of the world, depends upon young people getting involved in the political process in a way that we have never ever seen. Now, the good news is that the younger generation is the most progressive younger generation in the history of this country. Anti-racist, anti-sexist, anti-homophobia, anti-religious bigotry. That's the good news. The bad news is, and let me be honest, is that young people do not vote in anywhere near the level that they should. If young people under 30 voted at the same level as people over 65 years of age, we will transform this country. I am proud that last time around, I ended up with more votes from young people than Clinton and Trump combined. And we are making progress in bringing young people into the political process. That has to happen. We need to do that if we're going to transform this country.
Thank you. So appreciate that. Now we have another kind of tough question. I'd like to introduce you to Julissa de Cortez and Megan Guija, and the subject is immigration.
Hola, buenas tardes, señor Sander. Mi nombre es Julissa. Y quería contarle mi historia.
Good afternoon, Senator Sanders. My name is Julissa de Cortez, and I'd like to share my story with you.
Hace un año salimos mi esposo y yo de El Salvador porque las pandillas amenazaban de muerte si no entregábamos un dinero.
1 year ago, my husband and I fled from El Salvador because the gangs demanded that we bribe them and threatened to kill my husband if we didn't.
Cuando salimos de mi país huyendo, yo venía con 2 meses de embarazo y tuvimos que caminar hace 6 meses.
When we fled the country, I was 2 months pregnant, and we were forced to walk for 6 more months.
El camino para mí no fue fácil porque venía embarazada. Tuvimos que aguantar hambre, sed y un lugar seguro un lugar seguro para poder descansar.
The road was long and difficult, especially because of my pregnancy, and many days we endured thirst and hunger and didn't have a safe place to stay along the way.
Mi esposo y yo llegamos a la frontera del Paso. Los agentes nos trataron súper mal y yo iba con 8 meses de embarazo. Me separaron de mi esposo porque no quisieron reconocer nuestro matrimonio.
Finally, when I was 8 months pregnant, we arrived at the El Paso border, where we were treated very, very poorly by Border Patrol agents who separated me from my husband and refused to recognize our marriage.
Estuve detenida con todas las mujeres embarazadas en un cuarto frío, durmiendo de pie. Éramos 18 mujeres embarazadas en un cuarto para 5 personas.
Then I was detained along with 18 other pregnant women in a room that was freezing cold and that only had room for 5 of us. So we were forced to sleep while standing up and received no medical attention while we were there.
Yo lo único que quiero es estar con mi esposo, como la familia que somos, sin el miedo de ser deportadas al país donde nos amenazaron.
All I want is to just be reunited with my husband and for us to be a family without having to fear that I'll one day be deported to my death.
Mi esposo se enfermó de neumonía. Por tanto tiempo pasar en el cuarto frío hasta que lo deportaron a México.
My husband caught pneumonia while at these detention centers and struggled through it until he was deported to Mexico, and I haven't seen him since.
Hi, my name is Megan Guija. I am a mother, a teacher, and a founding member of Moms Against the Camps. I'm also the daughter of an immigrant. Iowans are welcoming people, and we are outraged by what is happening to children and families at our border. We would like to know how you will address this crisis, how you will address the treatment of children and families in the camps, and how you will address the root causes of this migration crisis.
Well, let me begin by apologizing to you as a United States Senator. Tragically, we have a president who is a racist and who is a xenophobe and who thinks that he is going to win re-election by demonizing you, by making you into a criminal. I don't believe that somebody who travels for 6 months who is pregnant is a criminal. My father was an immigrant too. He came to this country from Poland. And what we need to do, and I will do as president, is A, move toward comprehensive immigration reform and a path toward citizenship so that you will not have to fear being deported from this country. Number 2, we will end the ICE raids, which are terrorizing communities. Number 3, we will develop a border policy that the American people will be proud of, that treats people with respect and dignity, that does not snatch babies from the arms of their mothers, that does not put pregnant women into an area where they can't even go to sleep, that does not separate wives from their husbands. All right? And on my first day, we will reestablish legal status for the 1.8 million young people in the DACA program.
Yes! Yes! Yes!
This nation, your dad or your mom?
My dad.
Your dad, my dad, your family, families all over this country are immigrants, the sons and daughters of immigrants, and let us be clear. It has always been the immigrants in this country who have done the hard work to build America, often at low wages.
Yes.
Together we are going to protect mothers like this, and together we're going to end the racism and the demonization of the immigrant community which currently exists.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Megan?
Thank you, Senator. As you have just heard, deporting Julissa and her husband would be a virtual death sentence for them, as it would be for thousands of other refugees in similar situations. We know that you don't have a lot of power, but we were hoping that you would be willing to work with us and to use your campaign as a way to shine a light on the plight of Julissa and her family and the thousands of others facing this migration crisis.
I sure will. And I want to say to Carissa, and I want to say to all of you, do not think for a moment that the American people are sympathetic to Trump's views on immigration. They are not. The American people do not want to criminalize people who are fleeing their homelands because of violence and extreme poverty. They want to treat those people who come into this country with respect and dignity, and the overwhelming majority of the American people, while there are differences of opinions as to how we get there, the overwhelming majority of the American people do believe in comprehensive immigration reform and to make this young woman a citizen of the United States of America.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much. Now we have for you Arax Mayorga and Larry Ginter, one farmer from Honduras and one from right here in Iowa.
Buenas tardes. Mi nombre es Arax Mayorga y soy un sindicalista de Honduras. Represento trabajadores meloneros de la zona sur que laboran para una compañía billonaria que se llama Fives. Cosechan melones que se venden en Whole Foods y otros supermercados en este país. Por más de 20 años, los trabajadores sufren exposición a agroquímicos, robo de salarios y negación a jubilación, pensiones y maternidad.
Good afternoon. My name is Arax Mayorga, and I'm a trade unionist from Honduras. I represent melon workers in southern Honduras who work for a billion-dollar company called Fifes. They harvest melons sold in Whole Foods and other supermarkets in this country. For more than 20 years, workers have suffered exposure to toxic agrochemicals, wage theft, and denial of retirement, pensions, and maternity leave.
Cuando se sindicalizaron con el STAS, el sindicato donde yo organizo, fueron acosados y despedidos. La compañía creó un sindicato amarillo y ahora están amenazando con irse de Honduras, perjudicando a más de 8,000 trabajadores solo porque el STAS demanda el respeto a un salario digno, condiciones dignas y organizarnos libremente.
When they unionized with STAS, the union that I organized for, they were harassed and fired. The company created a yellow union, and now they are threatening to leave Honduras, putting at risk more than 8,000 workers. Just because STAS demanded respect for a living wage, decent conditions, and the right to organize freely.
Esto es solo un ejemplo, pero millones de trabajadores en Honduras están asustados por pelear sus derechos y sindicalizarse, porque la violencia contra sindicalistas es practicada por las empresas y permitida por los gobiernos.
This is just one example. Millions of workers in Honduras are afraid to fight for their rights because violence against trade unionists is practiced by companies and allowed by governments.
Estoy arriesgando mi vida al estar aquí y decir esto, porque en Honduras es un país muy peligroso para ser un defensor de derechos humanos. Pero hasta que las políticas comerciales de los Estados Unidos y transnacionales respeten el derecho a organizarnos, la violencia y la pobreza que enfrentamos solo aumentará. Y estas son las causas raíces del por qué nuestros compatriotas huyen del país.
I am risking my life by being here and saying this, because Honduras is a very dangerous country to be a human rights defender. But until US trade policy and transnational corporations respect the right to organize, the poverty and violence that we face will only increase. And these are the root causes of the poverty and violence that forces us to flee.
Thank you, Senator, for being here today.
Hold the mic close to you.
My name is Larry Ginter. I'm a three-generation family farmer. I live at Rhodes, Iowa, and I've been on the same farm for about 80 years. And I want to thank you for your stand on a moratorium on factory farms and parity pricing and supply management, and grain reserve. Appreciate that a lot. As a family farmer in central Iowa, I feel like I'm pretty darn lucky to be a member of Iowa CCI Action, because without this organization, I could never have met such powerful speakers in the Hispanic community and powerful in the Asian community, the black community, the Native American community. Very fortunate for that. When I hear stories like this, it makes me outraged. And U.S. transnational corporations continue to trample on the rights of farmers in Iowa and farm workers in countries like Honduras. Tyrants like Trump and his cronies pit worker against worker, farmer against farmer, and nation against nation. So, Senator, how will you confront the corruption of U.S. and transnational corporations that fuel the global race to the bottom, which uproots family farmers in Iowa and farm workers in Honduras?
Well, that's a question that would probably take us 3 hours to fully answer. But let me just say this. For a number of reasons, including reasons we have heard right now, I voted against NAFTA. I voted against permanent normal trade relations. I believe in trade, but I don't believe in unfettered free trade. I don't believe we should have trade agreements written behind closed doors by the CEOs of large corporations. And unlike Trump, my foreign policy will be based on the support of human rights and democracy, not corporate interest and authoritarianism. So let me say to our friend here in Honduras, I consider myself to be perhaps the strongest pro-worker member of the United States Congress. I have a 100% lifetime voting record for the AFL-CIO. And when we're talking about trade policies, or when we're talking about foreign policy, it is not acceptable to me that trade unionists in Honduras, or El Salvador, or Guatemala, or any place else in the world are being assassinated.
That's right.
That is not acceptable. And as President of the United States, I will make that very clear. And we're going to deal with the corruption and the violence that exists in many of these countries. And when we talk about the power of agribusiness, it is the same story. You know here in Iowa, I know, coming from Vermont, that we have seen an incredible consolidation of large agribusiness corporations that are driving family farmers off of the land that their families have worked for generations. And what we are also seeing with these incredible factory farms here in Iowa and elsewhere is the production of incredible amounts of water pollution and air pollution, threatening the health and well-being of so many people. I will, unlike Trump, have an attorney general who knows what antitrust law is about.
All right.
I believe in family-based agriculture. I believe in sustainable agriculture.
right.
I believe that when possible, in organic-based agriculture. But I damn well will not accept a handful of agribusiness corporations destroying family farmers in Iowa, in Vermont, and throughout this country.
Thank you. Thank you, Senator. Larry, do you have a follow-up?
Senator Sanders, will you contact the companies responsible for the union busting on farms in Honduras and call on them to stop? And will you keep open the Central American Free Trade Agreement complaint until these violations have stopped?
Absolutely. Just get me the information and I'll make that call. I need that information. Okay? Okay. Good.
We'll get you that insurance.
Thank you.
And now we have for you to discuss Medicare for All, we have Kathy Glosson and Josh Sullivan.
Hey everybody, my name is Joshua Sullivan. I'm a part of the Mental Health Justice Team and One People's Campaign. I'm a leader in Chicago, Illinois. In 2004, I was emptying out my mother's garbage and gunfire, it was crossfire, hit, it was shot 4 times. And I was left paralyzed for a year, and I suffer from nerve damage and PTSD, and I was uninsured at the time. I spent 2 weeks in the hospital and over $10,000 worth of hospital debt. To this day, medical debt still is on my credit report, and it hurts my credit score. My mom and I is low income and could not afford prescription medication. Sometimes we will try over-the-counter drugs to suppress nerve damage, and it didn't work. I was able to recover and walk again, but still I suffer from nerve damage and PTSD. I struggle to have access to consistent mental health care because of the Medicare reimbursement rate is too low. For example, I've had 5 therapists in 5 years, and it's made it difficult for me to recover.
Good afternoon, Senator Sanders. My name is Kathy Glosson, and I've been a registered nurse for over 21 years. Our question to you today is, how will your health care plan eliminate the financial and other barriers to care for people like Josh? And how can you make sure that all of us have access to the highest quality healthcare professionals so that none of us get left behind?
I am happy to tell you what I think you already know, Kathy, that I am the author of the Medicare for All Single Payer Bill. I have believed for my entire adult life that health care is a human right, not a privilege. We have a system today which is not only dysfunctional, it is incredibly cruel. And its cruelty is not just that 87 million people are uninsured or underinsured. It is not just that 30,000 people die each year because they don't get to a doctor when they should. It is not just that 500,000 people go bankrupt every year because of medical bills. It is a system designed to make billions for the insurance companies and the drug companies who charge us by far the highest prices in the world for the prescription drugs that we need. It is a system that last year made $100 billion in profits for the healthcare industry. So, my bill is pretty simple. We start off with Medicare, which is the most popular public health insurance program in the country. We expand it to cover dental care, hearing aids, and eyeglasses. We make sure that there are no premiums. We got rid of premiums. No co-payments. No out-of-pocket expenses. In Canada, if you have a heart transplant and you're in the hospital for a month, you come out not owing a nickel. That's what I want in America. And when we talk about comprehensive health care, we're certainly talking about parity regarding mental health as well. And this program is paid for out of the general tax base. And the vast majority of the American people, except the very rich, will be paying far less for the health care they get right now than they are currently paying. Our job now is to have the guts to stand up to the greed and corruption of the insurance industry and the drug companies and tell them we're coming after them. Health care is a human right.
That's right. All right. Let's have a backup question.
Yeah, thank you, Senator Sanders. Just a quick follow-up question. Opponents to your health care plan, and we know they're out there, are telling us that rural hospitals will close and that rural health care will suffer as a result of your plan. Please let us know what you say to those opponents, and how can we ensure your plan will not hurt rural Iowans and rural Americans?
What they're saying, and by the way, let me be very clear because I need your help on this. When the healthcare industry makes $100 billion in profit, if they spend 1% of that, Kathy, on advertising, that's $1 billion. And I would not be surprised if they spend that amount. They're fighting for their lives and for their profits, and they'll do everything they can to defeat what I'm trying to do here. In terms of rural hospitals, when you have the truth is that rural hospitals now are shutting down in those states which haven't expanded Medicaid. All right? When you have a healthcare system not designed to make huge profits for the hospitals or the insurance companies or the drug companies, when you have a health program, a Medicare for All designed to improve and provide quality care for all Americans, of course we're going to have funding for rural hospitals and clinics all over this country as well as urban areas. And also, we're going to start graduating more doctors and nurses because we're eliminating student debt in this country, which means that doctors and nurses can go where they're needed, not just to Park Avenue, New York City, to make the money to repay their loans.
Thank you. Thank you. And now, Senator, to help you frame your closing remarks is Megan.
Hi, just wanted to say I loved you so much in the last election. We actually named a cat after you, so no pressure on this last question. So my name is Megan Halverson, and I'm a mortgage closer for Wells Fargo in Minneapolis. My department serves wealth clients, but like the vast majority of bank workers, after 6 years, I make less than when I started. Over the years, Wells Fargo raises haven't kept up with the cost of living. In addition, there are constant threats to our monthly incentive combined with rising healthcare costs. Whether you're in a branch or a call center, bank workers experience intense stress every day. As employees, we want to help customers with their financial needs, but pressure to meet our monthly production and sales goals creates unbearable mental and physical stress, and it makes it difficult for us to put customers first. The bank account scandal at Wells Fargo is the most extreme example of this, but all bank workers face similar abusive conditions. In short, we need a union. Through collective bargaining, we can help regulate the banks from the bottom up by pushing back on extreme sales goals, cross-selling, and unattainable metrics. And that's why I got involved with the Committee for Better Banks. As a group, we tried to sit down with Wells Fargo to help fix the bank's toxic culture, but they refused and said it would be inappropriate. Without unionized bank workers, Wall Street will remain out of control. Banks will continue to pay billions of dollars every year to help settle violations and consumer protection labor abuses, but for them, this is just the cost of doing business. This can change, and in fact, bank workers are unionized in practically every other country except here in America. Our labor laws are broken. My question to you is, what is your plan to make sure bank workers can unionize so we can all have a more fair and accountable banking system?
Megan, this is what I believe. If we are going to be able to take on the greed of Wall Street and the greed of the corporate class, we need an unprecedented grassroots movement of millions of people. And in the center of that must be the trade union movement. And that is why I have introduced legislation called the Workplace Democracy Act. Let me tell you what it's about and how will it impact you. What it says is, number one, if 50% of the workers in a bargaining unit plus one, a majority, sign a card saying they want to join a union, they have a union, end of discussion. At a time when millions of workers like you want to join a union, we will not tolerate corporations firing people and acting illegally and making it very difficult for workers to join unions. Second of all, if you form a union and that company refuses to sit down and negotiate a first contract, severe penalties will be imposed on your friends at Wells Fargo. Thirdly, our legislation repeals Section 14B of Taft-Hartley, which means there will no longer be states that have so-called right-to-work legislation. And our estimate is, we believe that if you do those things, and my goal is, because so many workers like you want to join unions, but right now are facing incredible opposition from their employers. My belief is if we pass that legislation, we could double the number of workers in unions in 4 years. That's what I want to do.
Thank you so much, Senator Sanders. Let's give Senator Sanders a warm thank you for joining us this afternoon.
Thank you all.
It's been great.